Have you ever gotten the urge to get in your car and go for a cruise at night? I used to. I love driving at night, especially when I don't have to go anywhere specific. It's therapeutic to me. At least it used to be. I'm 18 years old. I graduated not too long ago. A week or two before I graduated, I went to one of my friend's graduation parties. I left the party at about 10 at night. I live about 30 miles outside of town. Roughly 20 miles of that is on dirt roads. I had just turned on one of those roads. I was in a good mood. The window was down and the radio was playing softly. It was relaxing. I wasn't going fast. Only about 45 miles per hour, just cruising. Up ahead, I saw something moving. Could have been a coyote or antelope. Suddenly, across the road in front of me, I swerved to miss it. I used to drive a 2002 Jeep Wrangler. My dad got it for me as an early graduation gift. We fixed it up and got it drivable condition together. Wranglers are naturally very top heavy. This one was even more so, as it had a 4-inch lift kit. I swerved too hard and rolled into a ditch. I smashed my forehead into the windshield and blacked out. I woke up with a start. I was upside down. I was bleeding pretty badly from a gash in my forehead. I couldn't remember what happened. It took me a moment to realize that I had been woken up by something. Something was lurking around the Jeep, sniffing and snuffling like a large dog. A putrid, decaying smell invaded my nostrils. It was strong enough to make me gag. In a flash, I remembered. I remembered the pale, naked, thin figure walking on the road in front of me. Its horridly long and dangling arms. Its tall, thin head and those small, beady eyes that glowed in my headlights. It wasn't human. I kept a KAMPFIRE knife that I bought with my birthday money in the Jeep for emergency situations. The middle console had spilled open in the wreck, so I searched and found the knife on the roof. Remember, the Jeep was upside down. I grabbed it and cut my seatbelt. I fell to the ground with a thud. There was an excruciating pain in my left arm. I couldn't move it. I bit through the pain and sat up. I could hear the snuffling outside grow quicker and more frantic. It must have heard me. Suddenly, I could see 2 feet outside the driver's side window. They were like the rest of the creature, disproportionately long and thin, ending in 4 toes. There was dried blood crusted on them. There was a scratching on the door. It was trying to get in. Frantically, I plunged my hand out the open window and stabbed the creature in the foot. It let out a piercing shriek and ran off into the night. I crawled out the window. I tried to stand up too quickly and passed out. I woke up in the hospital the next day. My dad had gotten worried about me about 20 minutes after I should have been home and went looking for me. He found me passed out next to my overturned Jeep. I had lost a lot of blood and suffered some head trauma. Out of fear of being called crazy or not being taken seriously, I told everyone I fell asleep at the wheel. It still didn't explain the scratches on the driver's side door of the Jeep, scratches that looked like they had been made by a man. For the next few months there would be strange talk in town. Ranchers in the area would report dead cattle with their entrails strewn about everywhere. People in cafes would tell stories about seeing strange lights, hearing strange noises, and spotting strange eyes in the night. In time, it seemed everyone had seen the elusive Thin Man of Tatum, New Mexico. But all talk and reports of such a creature stopped after a few months. The creature and the strange lights disappeared. I don't think I'll ever go driving at night again. I have trouble going to sleep at night. I won't whine and complain about having false insomnia. I just can't go to sleep at night. Some say I have an anxiety problem. Others say I just need to take pills. But I've never gone to a doctor about it. Instead, I just get in my truck and drive around for about an hour at night to relax and unwind. Usually, It works. And while expensive, I sleep well through the night with no problems. I live in Lubbock, Texas. For those of you who know the area, you know that once you leave Lubbock, it's several miles in either direction before you reach another town. The highways leading out of Lubbock go through miles of flat nothingness before reaching another town. And even then, the towns are so small, you could throw a stone across it and it would be out before it hits the ground. Driving on Highway 84, it's a long way from Lubbock to Littlefield, the nearest large town to the city. It's a nice drive too to make when you're alone, very calm, quiet, and dark. The kind of drive that almost puts you to sleep behind the wheel. On this particular night, it was a typical cold late January night. I had recently started up classes at Texas Tech again, and I was feeling a bit stressed. So, I do what I always do around midnight when I can't sleep. I grab my keys, throw on a coat, grab a small cup of warm coffee, and drive. I took Highway 84 that night, as I hadn't driven that road since I had come back from winter break. As I passed Shallow Water that began the long stretch of open road between Shallow Water and Anton, I was no more than a fourth of the way to Anton when I heard a tap on my passenger window. I figured it was a rock and ignored it, but then I heard it again, and again, and again. 3 distinct taps on my passenger window, like someone was trying to get my attention. I turned my head to look out the window. To this day, I wish I hadn't. Staring back at me, with dark black irises, was a man, his face pale, almost gray, sitting in the dead center of the window, smiling. That smile was the most evil thing I have ever seen. He bore all of his teeth in a wide smile. They were pearly white, and not one of them was out of place. His hair was jet black and short, almost like something out of the 1950s. But that smile, the never-ending grin he bore, has been etched into my mind permanently. I jumped and jerked my truck slightly into the other lane before recovering and straightening it out again. I had taken my eye off the window, hoping what I had seen was just a hallucination of some kind. I looked back, and he was still there, just smiling at me like he had been waiting to see me. He raised his hand and started waving at me. I turned my head forward and stared straight ahead. I jerked my truck into the left lane and then swung it back into the right, but I didn't look to see if he was gone. I was too afraid to look. I kept telling myself to keep my eyes on the road and find a place to turn around. Then I see something out of the corner of my eye. I glance over, and it's the man, running on all fours, naked. My jaw dropped. I looked at my speedometer, 75. I looked back. It's him, smiling at me again. I floored it and I raced away from the guy. I heard him jump into the back of my truck. I checked my rearview mirror and he's still there, staring back at me through the mirror, still smiling. I'm almost in tears. I just want him to go away. I find a turnaround, slam on the brakes and check my rearview mirror. He never moved. It was like he had no momentum at all. I didn't even look to make the turn. I just did it and I hit the gas. As soon as I was on the road again, I can't even be bothered to do the speed limit. As far as I'm concerned, this was an emergency. I returned to Lubbock without the thing in my truck. I know this because as I turned onto my street, he was standing on my front porch, waving at me.
Hey, this is the Grimtail Brothers. Make sure you like and subscribe for more.